Yes.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome everybody in this delightful and eventful evening with all the stalwarts of psychiatry. So, this program is named as Friday Pearls of Wisdom. Bhale Madam will tell about what is the significance of this Friday Pearls of Wisdom, and this academic extravaganza, the monthly webinar series, is been brought to you by Pune Psychiatric Association and Indian Psychiatric Society Pune branch. So, without any further delay, I will hand over the sessions to Bhale Madam, Madhumita Bhale Madam, Doctor. Madam can tell us about the significance of this Friday Pearl program. Madam, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Anirban. Good evening, everybody. We members of the Pune Psychiatric Association and the Indian Psychiatric Society Pune branch, we welcome you all to the second talk of our Pearls of Wisdom series. Through these Friday talks of every month, we intend to benefit all our members of the PPA, IPS, and the mental health professionals who join us through the unique and very, very valuable contributions by the most respected and senior members of our fraternity. These talks are aimed not only to gain knowledge, but help us view mental health and mental health challenges from different angles. In short, they are going to help us develop a robust, all comprehensive understanding of the situations and conditions of our patients as we deal with them in our clinics. Friends, as we complete our post graduation, each one of us goes through the dilemma and a period of uncertainty what, how, and when to move further ahead in our careers. Whether to join an institute, whether to assist a senior person, or whether to jump straight away into private practice. Eventually, most of us do go into private practice and make our own setups. But in spite of the intensive trainings that we received during our PG tenures, the difficulties that most arise during actual individual practice are few of illness management, but more of practical management issues. Some push us definitely into a state of two minds when we strive to understand which is the right direction to move into. Ethics and confidentiality issues also baffle us many a times. To relieve us of this anxiety and to help us move more confidently on the path of private practice in the right direction, we are today very, very fortunate to be guided by our very respected and adored senior psychiatrist of Pune City, Dr. Vidyadhar Vatve sir. Intelligence writ on his face, wisdom evident in his every action, the holder of knowledge, as is denoted by his very name, Vidya Dharan Karanare Vidyadhar. And interestingly, his surname also indicates what he actually does for all of us is that Vatave means to distribute all his knowledge very selflessly to all the members and juniors. Friends, we are truly going to gain very, very precious pearls of wisdom today, which are extracted from the vast clinical experience of Dr. Vatave sir. My most sincere thanks to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and sparing your valuable time for the benefit of us all. And thank you, all my dear friends, for joining us for this PPA talk series. Now I hand over to Dr. Bharat Sarode sir for a formal introduction of our esteemed speaker. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. As Dr. Bhale Madam rightly said, we are very fortunate to have a very senior person and very guru for all of us as a Pune Psychiatric Society. We learned from him. He need not require any introduction, but just as a formality, I will introduce him. He is a former president of Indian Psychiatric Society from 2015 to 16. He had He was also very guidance and coordinator for our all programs for Pune Psychiatric Association and our Pune Psychiatric Association as well as IPS Pune branch. All activities in his guidance we are performing for years, and he is a guiding force for all of us. He did his MD and DPM from BJ Medical College Pune, approximately 40 years of experience in private psychiatric practice. He is a senior consultant and main consultant psychiatrist at Pune Hospital and Research Center Pune. Spoke on World Mental Health Day awareness program, that is Manobal Takad Atmavishwasachi, hosted by Nityanand Rehabilitation Center Pune in 2016. World Health by Awareness program in April 2018. The many facets of caregiving shared on Facebook. Miti Mindscope Mental Health Film Festival 2018. Paper titled Current Challenges in Practice of Psychiatry in India, published in Indian Journal of Psychiatry in June 2015. He was a chief guest at a function organized by NGO called the Institute of Psychological Health, that is IPH Thane, in October 2015. His views shared in the article Anxiety, Depression, Result of Our Lifestyle, published in Hindu, March 2015. His views shared the article 20% patients visiting family doctors for depression issues are referred to specialist by expert help, published in NRI News 24/7 website in January 2017. But after all, he is a very practical, down to the earth, and a knowledgeable person. And from him, we can learn psychiatry, what is psychiatry, how to do private practice. I learned from him a lot, and all of us, our colleagues, also have a lot to learn from him. So today's his speech will give us a rich material to have insight in private practice. Thank you. Over to sir.
Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Bahale, Dr. Sarode. Thanks for giving this opportunity and thanks for the great introduction. I don't know whether I deserve it, but still, thank you for that. All the office bearers of the Indian Psychiatric Society Pune branch, Pune Psychiatrists Association, field staff of Centaur Pharmaceutical Private Limited, Anirban Mitra, GM Marketing, my friend Anurag Srivastavji, who looks a little different in that bearded look, Anuragji, and the entire field staff, plus all the mental health professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, psychiatric social workers, students who have taken out time to enjoy this webinar. I'm thankful to all of you for giving me this opportunity to discuss with you my topic of psychiatric practice in mental health. Can I have first slide? First slide, please. Okay. The title is Do's and Don'ts in Private Psychiatry. Friends, I can simply say two sentences. For example, if I say, you do what I do and don't do what you are doing. Thank you very much. So this can finish my lecture in two sentences. But friends, it's a very arrogant start for a webinar to which people have taken out their 1.5 hours to come and spend here. On the other hand, I can say that, see, I don't know whether I deserve to deliver this talk because there are many psychiatrists, many stalwarts in the country who can do better justice to this topic. I really don't know, but anyway, I'll try. So this is a very negative way or a diffident way of starting any talk. So first do's and first don't do's is avoid all this. In fact, this was brought to my notice by Dr. Vihang Wahiya, a very close friend of mine, when we started together presentations, combined presentations with me and Dr. Wahiya. We were doing together. We did more than 60, 70 plus all throughout all over the country. When Vihang said, Vidyadhar, please don't start on this diffident note, because today you know, and you are the best person to know the topic, whatever topic you have decided. But don't start on a diffident note, which I learned from Young Vaya. And now the point, the do's is start on a neither arrogant note nor a diffident note, but be comfortable. Take the topic in hand and give it justice. So with these first do's and don'ts, I'll go to first slide. My journey. I did my MBBS, DPM, MD Psychiatry from BJ Medical College and started practice way back in 77 with my DPM. I would have continued with DPM till today. But then my friends like Dr. Mohan Agashe, Dr. Vinod Chagule, Dr. Dhawle, who insisted with that you must do MD, whatever practice. I could have continued the practice, but then they insisted, especially Vinod Chagule, Dhawle and Mohan Agashe, who made me sit down, go to the library, do some research work, write thesis, etc. I am thankful to all three of them. Honestly, I admit that I took psychiatry because there was no emergency. I thought there will be no emergency, but I proved very much wrong. There's a lot of emergency work every day, in and out. All of us are facing. It's not a very easy branch to take lightly. The other branch I had in mind was skin. Probably there also I would have proved wrong because of the recent advances, etc. Next slide, please. Continuing with my journey. In 76, when I started practice, Dr. Mohan Agashe told me that late Dr. Girish Karnad, who was the director of the Film Institute, he said he wants somebody who knows the psychology. I was staying near Film and Television Institute. I readily said yes. And I joined Film and Television Institute as their medical doctor in 76. What happened, I came to know what the main advantage. There was not much of a medical work. They were healthy students, few questions and discussions about substance abuse related issues. Otherwise, there was not much of work, all healthy young students. But benefit that I got, I came to know persons like Nasiruddin Shah, Benjamin Gilani, late Rima Lagu, Tom Alter, and a couple of others like Sukanya Kulkarni, etc. But then what happened, I used to work there for 20 minutes, but half an hour every day or more than that, I used to get involved. The students used to come to me for helping in their diploma film scripts. Later on, it became, Dr. Vatve, will you act in the diploma films? So that was really too much. I know I was involved. You all know that I was involved in theatre and cinema, TV serial, etc. But I got Best Actor award in Purushottam Karandak also. But all these, friends, was time consuming, was taxing, because I used to do shooting between two patients, go there, change makeup, do a shot with Nana Patekar or Benjamin Gilani or Sukanya, come back to my clinic, take off makeup and start like a psychiatrist. That was too much. That was just too much. And then again, I thought, then Vihan came to talk to me and he said, Dr. Vatve, you have some acting talents. I accept I have some minimal though acting talent. He said, we'll do combined presentation. And that's how I started using my minimal acting talent by doing various talks, seminars, etc. live. That time it was live only from 1994, and we did almost 50, 60, 70 plus seminars in which I was always accompanied by Dr. Vaya. We did seminars like presentations like how not to make a presentation. We used to do role plays of right from alcohol, depression, etc. And people used to enjoy it. We did it in various conferences in the country, outside the country, in various physicians conference, conferences, etc. So thus then I left Film Institute. I said, enough is enough. I have to concentrate on something. So the next slide, please. Next slide. So friends, the first do starts here. I would request all the audience, all the people who have joined, I would request you to plan a goal-directed path in your career. Ye bhi karo, wo bhi karo, aisa mat karo. Because That time getting PG was very, very simple. I got my first letter of appointment because I promised, yes, that I will do acting in a play called Lob Nasawa or Ashipa Kariyeti, directed by Dr. Jabbar Patel. So the person who took my interview took me in not in writing, but he said, you have to promise, I will give you the post, but you have to act in Patel's film. That's how the things were that time. But now things are very difficult. Getting PG, getting CET, everything is difficult. So I would advise you to concentrate on your studies. Then improve your presentation skills, because these days it is mandatory to have 2 presentations or paper presentation, oral, etc. for your DNB or MD or diploma or whatever. I would advise you to take any opportunity to be a speaker or a chairperson in academic seminars, because I think teaching is the best way of learning. I came to know, and I did all this because I worked in Sassoon from 1992 to 1996 as a visiting lecturer, along with Dr. Dhavle and Dr. Rajan Kali, who is a neurologist. And because the students were involved, today's Jyoti Shetty was a student then, Geeta, then there are many, Arvind Panchanadikar, Dr. Parlikar, they were all there. The Parlikar, of course, was passed out MD. But then many students used to come and ask questions. And I said, bhai, aapko padhna padega. So I started my started my great interest in reading, doing library work, etc. So my advice is, friends, pursue your hobby, but keep one eye on patient care and reading your scientific work, reading your scientific scientific literature that you have. So patient care and reading comes only first, and then pursue your hobby, whatever, whichever hobby, photography, theater, cinema, whatever. So this is my first slide of do's. Please do it. Next slide, please. Now, challenges in psychiatric practice. It was there when I started in 76, even it is today, but the whole approach is now how to reduce stigma. There are multiple challenges and criticisms from the medical colleagues and fellow mental health. I'm sorry to say, many of the medical colleagues don't feel that psychiatry is a branch of medicine. In fact, I would say it's a different branch. It's a separate entity, and not only branch of medicine, it has a separate standing. But many colleagues say, "आप क्या करते हो यार? इसको schizophrenia बोलते, एक को neurotic बोलते, इसको psychotic बोलते, बाकी कुछ नहीं करते." So we have to accept this, that this is a stigma. This is the knowledge of about our specialty in our medical colleagues. And much to my surprise, fellow mental health professionals like psychologists, social workers, psychiatric social workers, nurses, etc. Many of these psychologists, mental health professionals, they say that doctors give sleeping pills. So don't take psychiatric advice. I will continue with counseling and see that you are improved. Okay, but friends, I'll tell you, all this psychologists, psychiatric social worker, psychiatric nurses, attendants trained in psychiatric wards, they're all mental health professionals according to new Mental Health Act. So my advice is coordinate with the other specialists. That is CL work or general hospital psychiatric units. You come to know you have various physicians, dermatologists, nephrologists, endocrinologists, neurologists, etc. Coordinate with these specialists and discuss with them and make them aware that this is very much a different science, very much a different science, though you cannot get fever, etc. This is a science for which you need our help. So let us do work together. This is called as consultation liaison work. Plus, the new challenge is interpersonal conflicts in your own team workers. If you are working in a general hospital setup, like I am working with, say, about 20 staff, psychiatric, social worker, psychologists, attendants, nurses, and clerks, etc. So their own interpersonal conflicts, their own interpersonal issues, this is a big challenge. As a psychiatrist, you should be able to handle them. If you're working in a setup like what I am doing, like a general hospital setup, if you have a clinic with 1 or 2 people, then there should not be a problem. Otherwise, it's a challenge, because future practice will always be institution based. I was always working as a group practitioner, so I always enjoy working with other people, but I have to look after this, solving or discussing these conflicts amongst the people who are working with you. Can I have next slide, please? Okay, so what I was saying is discuss with other mental health professionals. Emphasize them the role of psychiatrists, the team, and role of psychologists and social workers in psychosocial intervention. It's not you or me, it's together, it's our team. They are equally important as a part of your team. And explain to them, give them their own right, show them their own work that they have to do for me. It's like pathologist working for a physician. So psychologists, social worker, they are all required, because it's a mental health professional team. I would request update psychologists and social workers about their importance in the current scenario of Mental Health Care Act. They have to be mandatorily the member of the team where we are working. Take their help, use their knowledge in CBT, REBT, and other therapies, and especially rehabilitation programs. Friends, I would request, plan the rehabilitation program, not when the patient is 6 years old and your clinic become chronic. Plan it right from day one. This is always said by the Nimans Timurli. Plan rehabilitation from day one. You may not have an excellent rehab center, but at least you keep in mind, take help of the rehab people, that psychiatric social workers who have their rehab centers, but involve them and plan them. Don't ignore them, and give them their own status and dignity. Can we have next? This is main do's. The whole thing, in my opinion, friends, it's not me or you or he, it's patient-centric approach. In my opinion, it is more important. Treat with equality. Whoever the patient, coming from which class, accept the symptoms. My teacher, Dr. Shirvaikar, used to say, please accept the symptoms, take them seriously. He has come to you. He used to say, he has come to you not because you are a great person, you are not Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan. They have not come to see you. They are in distress. They want to be listened to. So please give them a listening ear, accept their symptoms. Don't make fun of those symptoms, and respect the dignity of the patient. This is very, very important in today's scenario. Then respect that it's a uniqueness of the illness. This is not like any other physical illness. Then, as Madam says, issues of confidentiality. Very, very important, according to Mental Health Act, also according to all the old ethics and books on ethics, etc. Confidentiality, especially in psychiatry, is extremely important. But when you can jump this clause of confidentiality, if a Deccan Queen engine driver comes to you and says that I am driving Deccan Queen from Pune to Mumbai tomorrow, but I hear the voices of people who tell me that to stop suddenly at the Monkey Hill. If he is going to say this to you, jump the clause of confidentiality. Inform the railway authorities that so-and-so is under my care, he's actively ill, he's having auditory hallucinations, he may act on them, so please see what you can do. So here you are very much pardoned from this clause of confidentiality. Jump them, inform them. Anything danger which the patient is likely to do to himself or to society, like suicide, inform them. Forget about the laws of this clause of confidentiality. The next very important private practice, transference and counter-transference issue. You're all mental health professionals. You know what is transference, the feeling that patient develops for you, even a feeling of love that he may develop, or the other way, countertransference, when therapy starts feeling the not so important, not so acceptable feelings towards the client. So both these issues are extremely important. Although it's a patient-centric approach, you should be very careful in private psychiatric practice. Your body language, how you sit, how you greet the patient, what is your expression is showing, extremely important, because patient is intelligent enough, especially the relatives of the patient. They know this doctor doesn't want to talk to us today. He's not welcoming me. Gestures, you need not say, please get out. You need not say, your facial expression will show all this. So be careful about your body language, especially in today's practice or chamber practice, very, very important. One of my friend who was treating, please go to the last slide. My friend was treating a surgeon's son who was damn afraid of examination, anxious and depressed. He was to appear for exam in a day or two. That surgeon himself took the patient to my friend, senior psychiatrist in Mumbai. He spent 2 hours with him. Boy, this how important it is that you are well prepared, you are going to do well. So please don't run away from the exam hall. Please appear. And in the end, he said, oh, very good. God help you. The student went out and told his father, even Dr. XYZ also says, God help you. That means nobody else is going to help me, only God and help. So I better commit suicide. Such remarks, please be very careful what exactly patient will take them. Very, very important. So these are the things which you avoid. Thank you. Next slide, please. Now coming to child and adolescent psychiatry, I'm not a knowledgeable person on this, but then I would advise those who are doing, there are a couple of, Jyoti is involved in child and adolescent psychiatry, Kishore Guzar, senior psychiatrist, then Dr. Bhushan Shukla, they're all involved in child psychiatry. What I would request the young psychiatrists, I would request them to involve child psychologists, teachers and parents in their group meetings. I would request, people are already doing, Jyoti and Bhushan Shukla are already doing, conduct workshops for teachers and parents. This will help early detection and early intervention if they are sensitized by you, like child who is a child psychiatrist or a child psychologist. And for information, DM child psychiatry is available in Nimans. I think a couple of other places also it is available or going to be. A 1-year fellowship in child and adolescent psychiatry is available in various teaching institutes in Mumbai. Probably many more have come. I know these two, DM in Nimans and fellowship in Mumbai. Can we have next slide, please? Coming to geriatric psychiatry, private psychiatry geriatric. You all know, friends, that there is no separate classification. Same anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, psychosis, other psychosis, mood, depression, everything is there like adult psychiatry. But the most important is dementias and delirium. This is an everyday challenge for young psychiatrists who are in private practice. I would advise, people know only word dementia, even the common man knows, because every other day there's either Alzheimer day or somebody is writing on dementia. But friends, I will tell you, dementia is a blanket term. It's not one dementia, it's dementias. Alzheimer is 50%, frontotemporal is another 20%, PICS and whatnot. So subtyping of dementia, I think you should take help of a neurologist. Okay, and delirium, of course, delirium by definition is treatable if the cause is treated. But sometimes you don't come to know the cause till end. We call it delirium, NOS. Okay, so this is everyday challenge. So here I think you should take help from an intensivist and neurologist, because I'm telling you, young psychiatrists, intensivists use to control delirium of any etiology, IV or IM haloperidol up to 60 to 70 milligram. We have never heard of this, but their books show it. So please don't try yourself, but with the help of intensivists and neurologists, you should definitely sort out these issues of managing delirium. We know only one delirium, delirium tremens, but there also which drug to use, which drugs not to use is extremely important. And dementias, a couple of institutes in Pune have got something like memory clinic. For example, I have in my hospital memory clinic, wherein 6,000 rupees you do MRI limited study, all investigations, X-ray, chest, ECG, electrolyte, thyroid, only TSH we do, and all others. Everything is done and finally handed over to a psychologist. We have a PhD neuropsychologist also with us. She does MOCA. Then ultimately it is seen by Dr. Kothari, is a neurologist. He gives his comments on subtype of dementia. If needed, he asks for, apart from dementia package, he says, do entire cognitive testing for this gentleman who is probably Alzheimer's, probably frontotemporal. Then this Dr. Charu Raghavan helps. She's doing other tests rather than MOCA, which is a very fast test. And if neurologist is not happy, he will ask for ACER or something else. So take information, interact with intensivists and neurologists and endocrinologists. Finally, DM geriatric psychiatry, according to my knowledge, is available in KGMC. 1 year fellowship was also available or is available in KGMC, for which our own Dhananjay Chavan has done his fellowship in geriatric psychiatry and is interested more in working with geriatric psychiatry. So this is a very big challenge. Geriatric medicine is now and most accepted. Old age psychiatry is a specialty in England, in many other places. In our this thing also at KGMC, Dr. Forgot the name. So he has separate department of old age psychiatry or geriatric psychiatry, and he conducts the courses from KGMC Lucknow. Next slide, please. Okay, coming to addiction psychiatry. Friends, I was lucky to hear to these two stalwarts. One, Dr. Atul Ambekar from AIIMS, who is an internationally known authority on addiction psychiatry in AIIMS, Delhi. Other, Vivek Benigal. He's a born teacher, absolute born teacher. Friends, I would request you, in dues, try to interact with these stalwarts in various conferences and workshops and attend their seminars. Vivek Benigal comes to the audience like the Bollywood film star during the Filmfare Award. He comes to you and talks like an absolute great teacher. So please don't leave any opportunity. This is very important dues in my lecture, in my talk today. What is don't about this? Friends, if you are interested in addiction psychiatry, don't give false hopes about recovery in addictions. Only 10% improve even in the best of world centers. But that doesn't mean you should give up like that. No, you have people, you have doctors who have recovered alcoholics who will now require license according to new act to have alcohol related rehabilitation. Take their help. I respect all of them. They are excellent workers, but you should not give false promise. बिल्कुल ठीक हो जाएगा, कोई problem ही नहीं, ऐसा मत कहो. Addiction is a difficult nut to crack. Can we have next slide, please? Okay. Coming to drug therapy, I would advise, हाथ जोड़ के, please use minimum drugs in adequate dosage. Don't write 14 drugs, 1 to 14, 1 in the morning, half in the afternoon, other one 3, 1/4 at night, 1/4 in the morning. Please do not do this. Even if you are not well and if you take antibiotic, out of 5 doses, you will at least forget 1. So how you expect a psychotic patient or a bipolar patient who is not going to take anything, his relative to understand, poor relative, sometimes illiterate, how will he understand your list of 14, 15, 16 drugs? He will not. There will be 100% compliance problem. And one of the issue in relapse is poor compliance. In every branch of medicine, more so in psychiatry. 70% have got a problem of drug compliance. One more thing, many of our colleagues have chemist shop in their own premises. My मामा का भांजा का लड़का वो फार्मासिस्ट है, उसको दे दिया, मेरी बीबी के नाम पे है. This is not ethical according to old MCI. Even today's medical practice, the mental health rule will not allow us, I'm sure. Use standard drugs. You attend all conferences, all seminars, but don't use standard drugs. Because why I say I don't belong to any pharmaceutical. Standard drugs, because there's a good bioavailability. 97%, 98%, 93%. But I don't know what happens to the drugs which are from upscale companies. We don't know. Himachal Pradesh leave license, lete hain, aisa mat karo. I would also request you to avoid dispensing drugs as far as possible. But if you have to, because diabetologists and cardiologists and psychiatrists now these days are allowed to keep minimum quota of the drugs to be dispensed. But if you are dispensing medicine, don't remove the catch cover of the medicine. And don't tell to the patient, I have removed all the side effects from this drug. Ye bear safed goli 2 dafa, neeli goli 4 dafa, hiri goli 1 dafa. The patient has a right to know what he is taking. Suppose the big box, the plastic box that you give patient gulps all the 40 drugs, 40 tablets in that and lands up into unconsciousness. How the intensivist will know which drug he has taken? And if somebody asks you, boss XYZ, you have given this medicine to him, let me know what medicines he is taking. Otherwise, I cannot treat him. Be polite. Don't be arrogant when you're talking to intensivists. You can come in trouble. Treat your professional, fellow professional, medicine, surgery, whatever, with dignity and respect. Don't look arrogant. Don't sound arrogant. That's my sincere request to all the young doctors who are likely to come into private practice. This is very important private practice. In government practice, kisko samajhta hai nahi, kaun kya de raha hai वगैरह. But still, it doesn't mean that you should be absolutely taking all the everything leisurely. No, everything lightly. No, take your medicine seriously first, friends. And my last advice, according to this drug therapy, continuing with drug therapy, treat medical representatives with respect. They are para-professional. They come to your door because they are supposed to sell. See, they are marketing people, but don't take it that they hamara naukar hai, aisa mat kaho. Treat them, treat the medical representative with all the respect. They may, some marketing forces will show you some temptation. Avoid them, please. But all the same, these medical reps, the young fellows or the senior fellows, when they come to you, please respect them and treat them with dignity that they deserve. Next slide, please. Coming to consents in our practice. Electroconvulsive treatment, very common, we do every day in and out. Oral and written in vernacular language. Marathi or whatever, Kannada, whatever you do, all this should be explained to them orally and take their signature. And it should be for every procedure. You cannot take a consent that I hereby consent to give 14 ECT. No, it's not normal, it's illegal. Every procedure has got different risk. Every procedure has got anesthesia, scoline involved. So take fresh consent every time. Okay. And don't tell them that in this procedure, patient can also die. Don't throw this thing at him. Tell him that there are possibilities, but we are ready to take care if something goes wrong, like scoline apnea and whatnot. When you are doing drugs, my sincere request is to take consent for clozapine and all the anti-epileptic drugs. And there again, oral and written consent, because someone can develop severe skin reaction. Explain to them about adverse drug reaction, lamotrigine, carbamazepine. They all can cause drug reaction. Be careful, explain to them, ask them to contact you anytime or ask them to get admitted in any nearby hospital. Don't attend their calls. ऐसा मत करो. And in case of mishap, which can happen in anybody's practice, you have a long way to go. I have a very short years remaining. But in case of mishap like drug patient, don't run away from the situation. Don't run away from the patient and relatives, but handle the situation skillfully. These days, doctors are beaten up by angry relatives and whatnot. I fully agree that everybody these days is afraid of their own life. But in my hospital, I have got bouncers and yellow coat, this coat, etc. In minutes they come. Bouncers, their presence only makes the relatives to calm down a bit. Not that it's a filmy show or something. Just they should be with you. If somebody tries to harm you, they'll come in between and take care of your own safety. And I would request professional indemnity of ₹1 crore for everyone. Very recently, 3 days back, I was in Kolkata for AGB. They conducted a survey in which I was really surprised to know that 60% of the psychiatrists are not covered by professional indemnity. Absolutely wrong. You and me can come in trouble tomorrow morning. So minimum man karo. I know it's not like LIC, marne ke baad sab milega, bilkul nahi. Whatever 10,000 that you're spending is gone, but it's against 1 crore and safety. Very, very important. People, MS orthopedics, gynecologists, anesthetists, these are the people who are facing problems, not so much by psychiatrists, but our own friend Mahesh Gowda is facing a problem. He admits, he says minimum 1 crore. That's what he was discussing with me. Anybody can land into problem of this Grahak, Munch or criminal code and whatnot. Lastly, certificate and record. I am sure only yesterday Suresh Badamatas spoke to you about certification in psychiatry, but just one line, certificate should never be given to anyone other than patient. The new certificate format from 2012 is approved by the MCI, then MCI, now Medical Council. They say that certificate should have, this is from 2012. At the end of the certificate, you have to take their own identification marks and their own signature or thumb creation. I'll go one step forward. Someone who can come as a patient, but may not be. He says, yes, I am this XYZ. I want a certificate. Take their photograph. Ask them to bring the photograph. I would advise on day one, if you're doing your everything on net, you will have their photograph. I know, like Dr. Parkhi always has, or Parrikar always have a photograph. But we are doing still routine old OPD papers. That format is also going to change, mind you, when the act starts. The act is implemented when the rules are formed by the great state mental health authority. So that our OPD paper also, there's a different format. Whatever whatever apps that you are using or whatever instruments they are using, given by other people, it will be useless. It's a different OPD form. Certificate form also is different. So, and lastly, the records. According to New Mental Health Act, anybody can take the records of the patient. I would advise, ask them to write an application, show it to your senior in the hospital, and then hand it over. It is mandatory to hand over the report, but I think it should be only given to patient if he's alive. After his death, any relative can take after getting an information. So probably all these details you have discussed and heard from nobody else than Suresh Badamat, who is a boss in all this, PhD in forensic psychiatry. Can we have next? Accounts and taxes. Most of us neglect this. My sincere advice, these 4 things, friends, is mandatory. Receipt book with numbers, not receipt book like Phalwala has or a fruit vendor has. OPD register in which you have to write number 1 today, name of the patient, XYZ, professional services going, consultation, psychotherapy or whatever, and the charges. has to, so whatever 10, 15, 20, 100, whatever patients you write, they are to be entered in OPD register. Then daily cash book. On one hand, you have to write whatever cash expenditure done, 1,000 rupees for petrol, whatever check you have deposited in the bank, say 10,000, 1 lakh, whatever, that is next column. Then received from patients, cash or a check, that column. And lastly, that check that you have given to Ashturkar for whatever services he has given, you have to write everything. That is called as cash book. Every day, every day I do it. You all must be doing it. If not, please start doing it. Young friends, please start doing it. So receipt book, OPD register, cash book, and expense book. Expense book, you need not write, I went to hotel and spent 2,000 rupees on book. That is not expense. Expense related to your practice. Electrical bill, AC bill, computer repair and whatnot. Petrol, yes. Your vehicle repair, yes. All this is an expense book. And please remember, it is to be preserved for 8 years according to income tax law. 2-3 saal phek do nahi. All the 4 things are to be kept with you for 8 years. Anytime they may come and for survey and ask all this record. Then comes the professional tax. If you are in practice for just 2 years, don't have to pay. But after 2 years in practice, in career, in that rate, you have to pay this professional tax in advance for the financial year. So suppose today I have completed 2 years. So from 1st April to March 22, I have to pay professional tax in advance in the month of April, 1st or 2nd of April. It's advanced professional tax. It's not advanced tax of IT. It's advanced professional tax. 1 year on the day 1st or 2nd April, you have to pay for the next whole year. Suppose you are 65, you don't have to pay professional tax. But it's your responsibility to pay for your staff, your driver, your clerk. You have to pay whatever, 2,400 is maximum. You have to pay the advance and deduct it from their salary every month or in first month itself. Its responsibility is on you to pay your staff's professional tax and then deduct it. If you don't do it, if you collect or just deduct and don't pay it there, you will be in trouble. For income tax, people are happy about 75 tax, but it's for people who have retired and have only pension or something. Not for you and me who are earning actively. Income tax is a must. This is just an extra information that I wanted to pass on to you. Next, please. Okay, I think to end, your skill and devotion is appreciated by patients and relatives equally. Friends, they will be grateful for what you have done, and thus you can have a very satisfying professional career. As Hippocrates said, cure sometimes, relieve often, and comfort always. But please make no harm. This I am adding. Friends, please remember, ours is a noble profession and not a business. So don't look at it from whatever faida or tota, this thing. It's a profession. They call it, we know we are these days angry, doctors are very easily targeted. And then we say, कि साला हमको profession बोलता है और हमको ग्राहक मंच में देता है. Because it's a contract between you and the patient. But sometimes we feel कि हम कौन है? Professional है या businessman है? If you have to please your patients and relatives, please treat it as a noble profession and not merely as a business. With all this, I think I had, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you. Upper.
Dr. Sarode sir or Dr. Jyoti Shetty madam, please take over.
So, okay, just we have listened about what do's and
Hello.
don'ts about. Hello, yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, madam.
We can listen you, madam.
Yeah, Dr. Sarode, you were saying something.
Right, right. Just I was summarizing what
Yeah.
sir says. So it's a very good lecture, and as always, Dr. Vatve sir has told us about all his experience and wisdom about private practice, and no other person can tell because he has a long practice and ethical practice, as well as he is seeing lots of patients day in and day out. And what he said about private practice, that you must study hard, read a lot, and your practice should be patient centric, and it's a teamwork. So he told very nicely about teamwork, as he's working as a group practice, and many of us in private setup as well as in government setup do this teamwork, and we are having a very good experience how we can take advantage and help of psychologists, social workers, and therapists, which definitely help us in our private practice, as well as therapists do a lot of work for treating our patients. He also told about our approach should be a patient-centric approach, and we should have a definitely sometimes we hear watch news about developing some transparencies and contra transparencies and having some trouble to even doctors. So we should take consideration about this transference and counter transference part, and we should work on that also. He has told about various specialties like child psychiatry and geriatric psychiatry, where the specialists are nowadays available. But whenever patient comes, even I learned from the seniors that in private practice, whenever private practitioners ask me about the practice, I also tell them you must know what you can treat and what you can't treat. That is most important in private practice. So we should not be very courageous and telling I can treat everything. So we are having our limitations, and we must take help of our seniors as well as our colleagues and other specialists to treat this patient. Then he told about addiction psychiatry, and it is very important area where there is, as sir told, there is we shouldn't give false assurance that we can treat 100% and you will be from these problems. And definitely there is only 10% patients who can be treated or who can get relief, and others they are having a revolving door like symptoms, and they land into again all these problems. Then we told about very good about what we shouldn't do, like drug therapies. We shouldn't you should use all these medicines which are very judiciously in dose form as well as in duration rate. About consents, he has mentioned very well we must take consent for these drugs like clozapine and antiepileptics, and particularly about ECTs. Then he told about very much about certificates and recordings. And while giving certificate, one must not give the false certificate. We should be very ethical approach for these certificates. And what again he told very much about receipt books and data recording. And overall it was a very good experience about listening his lecture. Nearly all practical aspects of private practice he just mentioned in a very simple and digestible form. One should I request all of us and suggest all of us to take it in practice, because listening is not important, accepting in your practice and do a ethical and very good practice. And after all, we are having a fortunate, we are in a noble profession where we get very much rewards from the patients who are getting cured. Sometimes bad experiences may come, but it's a part and parcel of our life. In every field they may come, but we should take, and we must be a very humble and do all these things. Then there won't be any problem, and we can enjoy and we can give justice to this noble profession. Thank you. So this was about the summary of sir's lecture. Thank you. Thank you all.
Shetty madam, there are some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sarode, for actually giving a nice overview of Sir's talk. And who better today to talk on the do's and don'ts of private psychiatry, but none other than Dr. Vatve. Thank you, sir, for a very lucid presentation. We have always been listening to you talk on various drugs, and it was wonderful to hear you talk about this. Some of the questions that have come, I'll just put forward to you. Dr. Himangi Davle asks, is telemedicine better? So now with the pandemic and after the lockdown and everyone has been, and we have telepsychiatry guidelines also. So what is, sir, do you feel that telemedicine is a better approach or is an improvement on, what we have been doing in terms of treatment?
It is a very
Sir?
useful approach. It's very useful. As Hemangi has said, it's a very useful way of connecting patients. But I'm the last person to comment on this because all these 200 days of pandemic, I'm working in Pune hospital as usual, 9 to 6. So I can't do telemedicine. I can't do even webinar. I like live program, which I'm doing tomorrow. So telemedicine, I'm not the person. I'm not the person. Hemangi may be doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Many people
So,
in Jyoti is also doing it. Pune. I'm not the right person.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
ऐसा मन की बात नहीं होती.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. I think I can accept your point of view. Yes, telepsychiatry has been a move because of the pandemic situation. But just like you, I would agree that yes, it's a good way to connect and keep the connection going. But as far as, first consultation is concerned, I think even I would prefer a physical offline consultation and have all the examination done, looking into various aspects. The second question, sir, is from Dr. Kumar Kamble. And he says, how much of history, details of history, should we write in the prescription? And do we have to write the diagnosis in the prescription?
For your record, you have
What
to
he
write,
asked is,
for your record, according
Yeah.
to New Health Act, you have to write everything. But when they ask or relatives ask, you cannot show them each and everything that has been discussed between you and the patient. The law allows us to avoid certain details that are discussed with you and the client.
okay, yes. So just to again paraphrase that, what you would say is that you keep a record separately of the details. You obviously, it is mandated that because according to MCI, what you have to give the diagnosis in the prescription along with the other details that we are supposed to give, but we do not need to give all the history details in a prescription back to the
No, not at all.
patient, right? The third question, sir, is from Dr. Shruti. Yeah, from Dr. Shruti Joshi. Please explain the ethics followed in a private setup. I am not really clear about what,
Yes.
I mean, why would it be different? But yeah, please explain the ethics. So,
I think what I have explained is all about ethical practice. Ethics followed in private practice, reality or in textbook. In textbook, in reality, it may be different. But what I'm doing, I'm discussing with you. So whatever I do, I think this is the way in which ethical practice is to be carried out. What do you mean by what is the ethics followed in private? Private or public ethics has to be there. And we have to all follow it, isn't it? Like these things, like having a chemist shop by your Bhanja's mama at your clinic, not allowed, not allowed. These things, or giving a rapper Simu ke dawa dena, not allowed. Without his knowledge, giving drugs, not allowed. But we all have to do it. And then I write at the paper, advise admission. You give a prescription of haloperidol dispersible and triaxiphenyl dispersible on that day, and then advise admission. So you are giving it just to facilitate his pravas from ghar to hospital. These are all loopholes, but we have to make use of them. We have to use them. I think she's satisfied.
okay. Yeah, even I would agree. I don't think there is a separate ethics for private practice. You have to have ethical practice,
medical practice.
whichever institution that you work with.
Medical books of MCS.
And So the fourth question is by Dr. Agashe.
Hmm.
He wants to know what are the do's and don'ts of a non-practicing psychiatrist, a psychiatrist who's not in practice.
Like Dr. Mohan Agashe, he should refer his patients to people who are in practice, but Dr. Agashe is too intelligent to ask this question. I know, but what he means that whether he can have a primary consultation with the client, and then Dr. Agashe, by using his ways of thinking, he gets a feel that this patient needs more of a pharmacotherapy, he will refer to XYZ. If he feels that he needs more of a psychotherapy or CBT or cognitive or other psychosocial intervention, he will refer to psychologist or a psychiatrist who has got more inclination in psychosocial related therapies. I think Dr. Agashe probably wanted to do. As a non-practicing psychiatrist, I'll tell you, Dr. Akash is the busiest psychiatrist practicing now. He's just not writing the prescription. He hands over the patient to proper person who is in practice. I think that's Dr. Akash is satisfied with this. He has got he wants to start a cell where Dr. Akash will be there. He will involve psychologists, psychiatrists, etc. And he will select. He knows he's a professor, HOD retired, MIMH का संस्थापक, he knows what to be referred to whom. So he has that in mind. And I think this is the tip for Dr. Agashe. And I fully agree with his idea of Agashe doing the primary screening work and hand it over to a person who is interested in particular type of psychiatric practice. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the next question is by Dr. Rakesh Belguzri. He wanted to know what is the content. I think what I understood is of starting anti-epileptic treatment.
Consent.
What is the consent? I think he meant. He has written content. What is the consent?
Drug reaction, severe drug tests, Steven Johnson, they can all happen with carbamazepine, they can all happen with lamotrigine, and sexual side effects, weight gain with or hair loss, cognitive impairment with all, especially with divalproate, you have to take it down from them. I think you have to have that
Okay.
consent. Yeah.
Yes, so then you would have to clarify about the adverse events, what is
Yes.
to be expected with the anti-epileptic. So that should be included in the information.
Yes. And these Western countries, especially America, they have got two-page literature to be handed over the patient for side effects, this and that. Our poor people will not understand. It's better to make him feel that yes, you are with them. Something goes wrong, I am there with you. This is the oral part, but छोटी सी consent ले लो ना, क्या बिगड़ता है?
The next question is by Dr. Ashturkar. Patri sir, are you there? Are you listening?
Yes, very much.
Yeah, it's about actually. Hello.
Huh? It's about what?
Yeah, it's. I think you could see it on the chat. Dhananjay wants to know your experience as a expert witness of
in court. See, first thing, you cannot deny appearing court in the witness box. Once or twice they may pardon, but next time they will come with a warrant. It's mandatory for you to attend the court call. Mandatory. But go there with DSM 5 and ICD and other textbook, bada leke jao. They will first, they always respect you. The judges, mainly in lower courts, high court you don't have to go. Mainly in your courts, how to address them is Your Honor. In High Court, you have to say Your Excellency, Supreme also Your Excellency. That is not very important. Properly dressed with good books in your hand, discuss with your lawyer for whom you are going. It's not, you are a expert witness, not of say one vakil or other vakil. You have to tell your expert opinion, whatever papers you have with you, whatever record that you are carrying with you, and give a Xerox copy of that and explain to them quietly. They are unaware of the reason. They know only Parekh's book, of toxicology and medical jurisprudence tell them psychiatrists far advanced in all this. These are the books. These are the terminologies that we use. They will always ask you, have you done any test? So for, I call it in my record as for non-medical reasons, do a psychometry. It's available. So many people are doing psychometry. Something, they want something done by a psychologist and we say psychometry. So this is there. आपने कुछ लाया है, आप सब बकवास कर रहे हो, लेकिन क्या किया है क्या टेस्ट? हाँ my lord, मैंने नहीं किया, हमारी साइकोलॉजिस्ट ने किया, ये उसका रिपोर्ट है, ये भी उसके हाथ में दे दो. So with all these precautions, they definitely give you a good patient listening. Sometimes they may appreciate your talk in witness. Sometimes they will call the people and lawyers. Next time you go, there will be all like a teaching room, and they will listen what you are deposing in the witness box. Dhananjay, I'll explain all these things later again. You cannot avoid, cannot avoid court appearance. You have to go.
Jyoti madam.
Yeah. Hello.
Jyoti madam.
I think
Yeah.
that can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Madam. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that ends the question, sir. Thank you very much for responding. My connection seems to be weak, so it keeps going off. Hello.
Yes,
I think I'll hand over to Dr. Kalme. If you can just, you can just take. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. Good evening, all. It is indeed a great privilege to give vote of thanks in this academic feast. PPA, that is Pune Psychiatrist Association, and IPS Pune branch have started series of 2 monthly webinars. One on the second Friday, that is Pearls of Wisdom, and second is on fourth Friday, that is Satyahat Balana. Pearls of Wisdom is a program to imbibe wisdom from great stalwart in psychiatry to enhance overall personality. Today was second section in the series. Dr. Watve has done true justice to this topic, that is do's and don'ts in private psychiatry. I thank Dr. Watve for sharing his wisdom with us. Sir, this lecture has cleared many confusions in our day-to-day work. Thank you, sir, once again. I also thank Dr. Sarode, Dr. Shetty, Dr. Bahare for moderating today's session. I also thank all the delegates who have joined from all over the India to make this session huge success. Today we had 200 plus delegates. Last but not the least, I thank whole team of Center, Mr. Anurag, Mr. Anurban, Mr. Mahesh for being academic partner for this program, and two vibrant ladies, that is Rahila and Shruti, for handling the backstage perfectly. Now I request Dr. Mahesh Apar to hand over the token of appreciation to Dr. Watve.
बैठ के लिखेगा. Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Now I hand over session to Anurag, sir.
Sir, thank you very much. I think it's an honor, privilege. I don't have any word in my dictionary. Sir, first of all, sir, I want to thank you, not because of this program, but the strength which we all get by seeing you. During this COVID time, when everybody else was scared, they were not knowing what to do, what not to do. You have been an example by its own that you should do your own work. You should not get any negativity, whatever is happening around. Do your work with properly. And I think, God and the world will take care of you. That is what, sir, you have taught us throughout and even during pandemic. I think this is one of the biggest strength we all get by seeing you. And whenever I have met you 3-4 times, sir, in last 2-3 months, and it was really, sir, and strength. When I come out from there, I just take 1 minute. I called my father and I said, don't get afraid. Do whatever you want to do. Enjoy your life. Only take precaution and then live your happy life. Things will be fine. This is the strength that you give to all of us. So thank you very much, sir. And I would like to thank the IPS Pune branch and PPA for again giving this opportunity to us, sir. It's an honor to be part of this academic extravaganza, which is going to happen every 2nd and 4th of Friday. So we will be there in both the programs, and thank you very much for that. And on our behalf of our team, Centaurs Pharmaceuticals, sir, we'll meet you timely and bring such kind of more programs in future. And do support us the way you have supported us. Your support means a lot to us, sir. And I thank once again. Before closing this session, I wish each and every one of you to stay healthy, stay safe, and take good care of yourself, sir. Your taking care of yourself is much more important for all of us, because you will save us, you will save the world. So take care of yourself. And thank you very much, sir. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.